he was caught on tape, admitting that the gun grab is a waste of money, caught on tape, admitting it would go over budget, caught on tape, admitting it would be better just to lock up the gun criminals who are actually doing the crime. Why is it that Liberals only tell the truth when they don't think anyone is listening?
What I find interesting, though, is, in the past, I guess what would have happened in other governments is that the individual who got caught like this would offer their resignation to the Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister would say yes or no.
Gang, what's up? Aaron here, Canadian Looney Boy. Our Public Safety Minister, Gary Ananasangre, is in deep trouble. He got recorded speaking out about the flaws in the Piao Piao buyback program. It's a mess. We've got it all, like what they're saying in the news, what happened in the House of Commons. We're going to cover it all. Let's take a look and a listen. Gary's not going to last long, I don't think. Doesn't sound good.
Let's start this off with the minister talking about launching the buyback this coming Tuesday. Get ready for it.
I'm going to tell you something else. We're launching the gun buyback on Tuesday. Yeah. We're not adding anything to it.
So he says they're not adding anything to it, but it will be launching on Tuesday. He's going to discuss deactivation, compensation. There will be no compensation for parts. And he admits that gun owners are going to lose money. So let's continue.
And I thought it was voluntary. It is voluntary. So let me ask you this. It's a voluntary buyback. Yeah. I have a couple of options. My option is to go have it deactivated at my cost. You'll get compensation for that. Okay, so I'll get compensation for deactivation. So I basically have a firearm that would never be able to be used again. So basically a ornament. 2 is to turn it into the federal government. For what compensation? So let's say one of my ARs. But I have receipts where I purchased it at a far greater cost. And have other receipts for maybe I changed the bolt carrier group or a trigger and things like this. There's no compensation for that. No, none for that. So I'm still losing money. Probably.
So there you have it. You will be losing money on this stuff, and he doesn't seem to really care about that. This person talking to the minister is pretty upset about the cost of his firearms and how he's going to be losing money. And the minister offers to pay him personally for what he's out.
Are running around it.
Hey, that's something everyone can enjoy.
Merci pour la question.
Thank you for the question.
Mr. Speaker, on Sunday I had a conversation with an individual that I've known for many years who recorded it without my knowledge and had it leaked to a gun lobbyist. In that conversation, Mr. Speaker, the subject of the assault-style firearms buyback compensation program was discussed. In trying to address this issue, Mr. Speaker, the individual's frustration, my comments were misguided. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, it's important to have the program in place. This is what Canadians are looking for. And I do want to note that the Leader of the Opposition has voted against every single gun measure.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
By freeing rampant gun criminals and wasting billions of dollars of police and border resources targeting law-abiding, licensed, trained and tested firearms owners, this government has overseen a 130% increase in violent gun crime. But over the weekend, the Minister of Public Safety accidentally told the truth, and he was recorded doing it. He said that the gun grab is not worth the money, that it will go over budget, and it would be better just to lock up the criminals, but that they're going ahead with the bad policy because it's good politics. Does the Prime Minister agree?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, it's a good thing there's a recording of it so that Canadians can have a look for themselves. Let me be very clear, Mr. Speaker. Canadians want responsible gun control. They wanted it in 1989 after a man killed 14 women at École Polytechnique. They wanted it after 6 people were murdered at the Quebec City mosque shooting. And they wanted it after the biggest mass shooting in our history, where a man opened fire and killed 22 people in Nova Scotia. Mr. Speaker, why are the Conservatives against keeping guns off our streets?
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the minister said that his gun grab won't work, that it will go over budget, and that it would be better to lock up criminals, as Conservatives have been suggesting, but that they're going ahead with the gun grab anyway because the Prime Minister wants to pursue electoral politics. Electoral politics, Mr. Speaker. when a mother is hit with a stray bullet, or a police officer is murdered by a firearm, or a bullet flies into a child's bedroom as part of an extortion case, we don't have time for politics. Unfortunately for him, he was caught on tape. Caught on tape, admitting that the gun grab is a waste of money. Caught on tape, admitting it would go over budget. Caught on tape, admitting it would be better just to lock up the gun criminals who are actually doing the crime. Why is it that Liberals only tell the truth when they don't think anyone is listening?
All right, guys, we're going to hop over here to Power Play to see what this panel seems to think about Gary's words. He's in big trouble.
The public safety minister in the hot seat today after a leaked recording of him surfaced in a Toronto Star report. In the audio, Minister Gary Anandasangri said he doubts local police will have the resources to enforce the Liberals' mandatory gun buyback program, and says the reason the Prime Minister is sticking with the policy is to appease voters in Quebec. This isn't the first time the public safety minister, just a handful of months into the job, is facing scrutiny, though. Earlier, it was over letters he wrote on behalf of a Sri Lankan national who was previously denied permanent residence due to what the CBSA considered a protracted involvement with the LTTE, a terrorist organization. And the minister now has an ethics screen around national security files involving the Tamil community. We've got to talk to the front bench about this. With me this evening, former New Brunswick Liberal Premier Brian Gallant. He's the CEO of Space Canada now. Former Conservative Deputy Leader Lisa Raitt is here. She's the Vice Chair and Managing Director of Global Investment Banking at CIBC. CTV News political analyst and former NDP leader Tom Mulcair is with us, as is the Toronto Star's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Rob Benzie. Hi, everybody.
Hey,
nice to see you. Benzie, I'll start with you. We got an extended statement from the Office of Minister Anandasangri essentially saying, you know, I make a point to speak with Canadians who don't support our approach, to listen to their concerns, and to ensure they understand their options in this voluntary buyback program. In trying to address this individual's frustrations, my comments were misguided. He then goes on to reiterate the government's and his own support for the program. Your thoughts on, you know, is this minister's days numbered in this portfolio, do you think?
I think they are. My colleague Mark Ramsey broke this story this morning, Bashi, and when I saw Mark's report, I thought, I mean, Gary is a mixture of Inspector Clouseau and Mr. Magoo. I'm going to date myself with those ancient references, but he is the minister who literally can't shoot straight. I'm astounded he's still on the job. He's accident prone, gaffe prone. And this is really embarrassing when he's telling his tenant, who's also his friend by the sound of the conversation on the weekend, that he'll personally reimburse him for the cost of the gun if need be. I mean, I guess he's a good landlord, but I'm not really sure that's how government ministers should behave. I'm astounded that Prime Minister Carney has. I'm surprised he stuck with them this far, Vashi. But I cannot see them sticking with him too much longer, especially when a lot of what he said, Pierre Poilievre is not wrong. That is the truth. Why is the government doing this? Because it does sell well in Quebec, and I think that's you know, Gary's not wrong, but. Pierre Poilievre is correct. When you tell the truth like that and you're caught, boy, it's hard to come back from it.
We did reach out, Tom, to the Prime Minister's office to see if they had anything to add or wanted to say anything about the minister's future in that portfolio, and they said that they just referred us rather to the statement from the minister's office. Your thoughts on the way this is going down and the significance of it happening around this program in particular, which has always been, you know, kind of fraught with issues?
Yeah, I agree with most of what Benzie just said, but I will take a very strong disagreement with both what Gary Anandasangri said and what Robert Benzie just said about Quebec. Quebec is the only province in Canada that has a gun registry.
Yeah, that's true.
It was saved after it was scuppered by the Conservatives under Stephen Harper across the country. Lo and behold, there was a copy that existed. And under Philippe Couillard, Quebec was able to keep that gun registry, and that's what people cared about. I have to tell you, it sounds like total malarkey. You know, blame it on Quebec. I've never, ever seen or heard any orchestrated, organized push about this buyback program in Quebec, because the most important thing, which is making sure that, you know, when a police officer goes to a signaling of a of a domestic dispute in a rural area, they know whether or not there are guns behind the door. Now, they're going to be careful in any event, but boy, does that ever give them a leg up to have that information, and Quebec's the only place where they have it. So that's the part, honestly, that really bugged me, because I know Gary. I got a chance to travel with him once, and he's just such a gentleman. But this is just... this is lousy politics, because he's trying to scapegoat another province on something, and it literally, Vashi, it's a non-issue in the province of Quebec, because the main issue, the registry, has been taken care of. So on that score, there I agree with Benzie. Like, bye-bye, Gary. Like, there's no way, you know, that somebody who can say stuff like that gets to stick around.
Well, Brian, the program is supposedly, according to this leaked audio, also like a new pilot, and there have been other pilots going to be launched this week. It's maybe not the issue in Quebec that Minister Anana makes it out to be, but it is an issue in lots of rural parts of the country where they didn't like the way that this all unfolded, and they felt worried. There are police forces now who have said that they won't enforce it. If your public safety minister, you know, is on the record, essentially, not through his own choice, but otherwise, as saying, like, he doesn't fully endorse the program, can he sell it?
Yeah, it'd be pretty difficult to do that, wouldn't it? I think that's the big issue here, and giving any sort of reason as to why such a policy is being put in place, that it's politically driven, is the real problem. I'll leave it to Tom and his analysis in Quebec. Certainly, he's on the ground there, so whether he's right in his political analysis or not, I don't think that really matters. I think what matters is the fact that he's not defending it in this closed meeting. And to your point, that certainly undermines his ability to do it publicly moving forward. So, look, I think if they wanted to get rid of him, they might have done it already today. Maybe they're going to see how this goes, and if it lasts long, they may also tell themselves, look, this is one policy issue, a big one, don't get me wrong, but one policy issue amongst many others. If he can sort of, hopefully, from their point of view, be able to navigate the next few days with the pilot announcement that was referenced in this story, then maybe they'll give him a shot. I don't know that. I'm just trying to sort of sense what they might be thinking in that office at the moment. But yeah, to your point, it becomes very difficult. And look, people, I think, want to be able to talk to politicians and be able to say their things, and they want to hear what the person really thinks. But if you don't really support one of the key programs, then there's a real problem, right? And I think if it's to the point that maybe you're a little agnostic on a program, or maybe it's not something you would have done exactly like that, that happens. That happens to all ministers. It happens to prime ministers and premiers too, by the way. But you still have to be on board with defending it, especially when it's something that had been in the public eye for so long. So that's certainly a tough spot to be in for him moving forward.
Yeah, and just so that for full transparency, like what was reported by Rob's colleagues, Lisa, wasn't, you know, I can understand certainly if he had gone, like Brian says, it's a great point, and said, like, I understand your concerns, I even sympathize with some of them, I'm going to bring them back and you know, make sure that I raise them, but this is the program as it is. Like, he said things like, I also don't understand the logic. Like Rob pointed out, he offered to pay the difference himself to the tenant. Like, there are some pretty specific, more incriminating things than just saying, like, I hear you, man.
Yeah, what makes this whole thing lethal to his career and continuation as a cabinet minister is that he breached cabinet confidentiality, cabinet cohesion, you know, cabinet solidarity. Once a decision is made in the cabinet, that's it. If you try to go against it and you lost, well, you lost, but you still have to carry the message out there. What I find interesting, though, is, you know, in the past, I guess what would have happened in other governments is that the individual who got caught like this would offer their resignation to the prime minister, and the prime minister would say yes or no. At the beginning of my career, you may have noticed that happened a lot, quite frankly. Luckily, Stephen Harper did not take my resignation the times that I had to give it over. All that being said, it is in the hands of the prime minister now. It won't be forgotten. When there is a shuffle, I think Gary is going to be moved somewhere else. And the other part, too, Vashi, to remember is there's an awful lot of backbenchers who are saying, I could do much better in that job. Give me a chance, boss. Put me in.
Cutthroat.
Oh, yeah. We're going to wrap it up right there, guys. My name's Aaron. This is Canadian Looney. We cover Canadian federal politics here. We do a lot of live shows. Come and check one of those out. Thank you very much for watching this video. Gary, clean things up. We got to run for now. We'll catch you in the next video. Oh, yeah.
I think it is extraordinary that Mark Carney has become the Prime Minister of Canada. He did a terrible job in Britain.